What is up, you guys, and welcome back to the Upper 90 YouTube soccer channel. It's international break, which typically means there's not too much news going on in the world of the Premier League, but guess what? One legendary may be stepping back in the Premier League, and that happens to be Steven Gerrard. Yes, the ex-Liverpool player may be managing the next club in the Premier League, Aston Villa, so stick around as we dive deeper into this. Those that don't know who I am, my name is Mike, huge fan of the Premier League. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to a team when I talk about Chelsea, but today we are not talking about Chelsea. We are talking about the ex-Liverpool player, Steven Gerrard. Now, as you know, he is the manager currently in the Scottish League. We see him do very well in this league since he's taken over for the Rangers. Last season, he led them to their first title in quite some years. I believe this was the 55th title for them. But not only did they win this season, or this past season, they also went undefeated with him as the manager. Now, how is this going to affect him moving into the Premier League? Well, it looks like he's going to be linked to Aston Villa as of lately. Now, Dean Smith was let go after their last loss, and I think this might be a good stepping stone for Steven Gerrard. Now, there's rumors talking about how at some point he wants to manage Liverpool, and right now he's not at that level, and I think he knows that for the most part, which is why he's been taking different positions, and eventually he wants to build that resume to finally be able to take on Liverpool. And obviously Jurgen Klopp is still there, who is a phenomenal manager, and I don't see him leaving in this season or next season, and therefore it may be a couple seasons down the road before even this position is open. Obviously, Steven Gerrard does want to have some Premier League under his belt before taking over such a massive club. Now, how will this affect his tactics with Aston Villa? Because as we've seen before, Gerrard has a few different tactics that have been working for Rangers as of lately, even though the last couple of games they've been, I want to say, found out in their league, but it seems like they've been struggling as of lately. But overall, they're still top of the table in this season. So there are three key takeaways that I want to talk about in Gerrard's tactics. Now, the first one being the double pivot in the midfield. Now, they have two midfielders that they usually typically play with for the most part, where one's more attacking and one's more defensively, even though they can flip-flop for the most part. This itself allows this team to play in the middle, out to the sides, back into the middle, and back up front for the most part. And again, this can really help open up channels for their team to help break down defenses, especially when teams are pressing really high up onto the pitch. You want to have all these outlets, again, to play into your midfield, but also to ping balls off to the side, to ping them back in again, because doing this little ticky-tacky type passing for the most part is a good way to break down any pressure that's coming at you. Now, the second tactic, which I think is a little more unique, is the overload that Steven Gerrard does with his team. Now, typically, this isn't a very common thing you'd see in most Premier League teams, because the thing is when you take your team and overload one side, whether it's attacking or defensively, you're really overloading that side, which can be a good thing and can be a bad thing. The reason why it's such a good thing is because when you have possession, again, that ticky-tacky type passing really comes in handy, because you have so many players in such a small little area that you can ping balls back and forth and really keep the defense kind of on their toes. If they make an error, that can maybe break a player going down the side or down the middle and being open for a breakaway to receive a ball and a one-on-one with the goalkeeper. But not only with the attacking style, defensively, it's really interesting too, because when you overload a side, you're almost choking out the other team, because they're so swarmed with defenders near them that they don't have any channels to pass to, and lo and behold, they'll just hoof the ball way up, or they'll play it way back and have to start their attack over again, and therefore the team itself, whether it's the Rangers or Aston Villa, whenever Steven Gerrard takes over, they can shift wherever they need to and then overload the other side or up top, and again, keep switching back and forth. Now again, like I said, this isn't a very common tactic, but this is what Gerrard does as of lately, and I'm really curious if he will do this with Aston Villa, because we've seen this team before. They are really good defensively. This season just hasn't been really working out for them, but they have a lot of pacey players that, again, can run all over the place. If they can stay healthy, this may be a good tactic for them to get some of the results against bigger clubs that, again, are going to try to keep possession, and therefore, again, playing this type of style may be a good way to stop them. And then the last tactic that I want to talk about kind of goes off this overloading pressure in certain areas is the man marking that they do as well when they don't have possession. Now, why this is really important is because if there's players all over the pitch, these players then try to find those channels where a player would possibly play the ball and close down those channels. Now, by closing that down, again, they're not giving that many options. And so the guy with the ball, if he has someone pressing him then too, he has to make a quick decision. But if all his channels are closed, therefore, it's going to be very difficult, and most of the time they will make an error or play the ball and lose it to the defense. Happens to be Aston Villa now with Steven Gerrard, and therefore they can break on the counterattack. Now, as we know though, this isn't 100% foolproof. We've seen teams break this down. If you have a brilliant player, I'm just going to use Kevin De Bruyne as an example. Not every player is like him in the Premier League, but when he gets the ball, every time he receives it before he gets the ball, he is looking everywhere up and down the pitch to see exactly where the next pass needs to be going. So before he gets the ball, he already knows where he's making that pass. So if you're doing the man marking, if you're staying one step or two steps ahead of the other team, it gets very difficult, and all of a sudden you're chasing your tail trying to defend because now the players are playing balls too quickly and you're trying to make all these errors or all these tactical changes to, again, do the man marking, and this is where it can be a huge issue. So when they come up against, say, Manchester City or any other big club, Chelsea, Liverpool, some teams like that, they may really struggle because they have players that are very intelligent on and off the ball. Because, like I said, if they can make those decisions before they receive the ball and play the ball very quickly, which, again, we've seen Kevin De Bruyne do time and time again. He plays those lovely balls into the box that no one expects because he's already like 5 steps ahead of everyone else. That itself can be a huge issue when it comes to defending with this style. Now, overall, I think Steven Gerrard will do fairly well with his first season at Aston Villa. There really isn't too much pressure, minus he needs to stay up in the Premier League. But the way that Norwich, Burnley, Newcastle have been playing, I think Newcastle, with all the money, they may do okay in the winter transfer window. I think Aston Villa should be okay with Steven Gerrard coming in this early/late into the season. That all he really needs to do, again, is stay up in the Premier League, and then during the summertime, get the players that he really wants, most likely coming from the Scottish League itself, coming over because, again, they're going to be using the tactics he's already used, and therefore building off that and building back what Aston Villa used to be back in the 2000s era, maybe a little bit earlier than that. But again, this team just needs something else. The manager wasn't working out with Dean Smith, so obviously they let him go. Steven Gerrard is most likely on his way in the next 24 to 48 hours, and I'm very excited to see how well he does in this new role. So that is all I have for you today. If you are new to this channel, make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. That helps grow this YouTube channel, helps get this video to more and more fans like yourself. So that is it, and I will see you next time.